Well, I hope that you are having a great day, or I guess now it would be a great evening. Um, as always, we hope everybody's well, nobody's sick, but if you are sick or you are hurting in some type of way, we certainly want to let you know that we love you and that we are praying for you. We have, I don't think we have any announcements tonight, so we're going to go ahead and jump straight into the book of Job. Last week we finished Job chapter 16. Job was responding to Eliphaz's second speech. And he started out, you remember, he said, I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are you. Shall windy words have an end? Or what provokes you that you answer? I could also speak as you do if you were in my place. I could join words together against you and shake my head at you. I could strengthen you with my mouth, and the solace of my lips would assuage your pain. So Job starts out by throwing the insult of being full of windy words back at Eliphaz, because you remember that's what Eliphaz said. Job was full of hot air, basically, and windy words just would pour from his mouth. But then Job says, I don't understand what I'm saying. That makes you feel like you just must answer me. Job says, look, if I were in your position, I would not be doing what you're doing to me. Let me tell you what I would do. Words would come from my mouth, and they might even be the same types of words that you've been using in a way, but they would be words of comfort. They would be words of encouragement. In fact, he says toward the end, I could join words together against you and shake my head at you. Now, that's not like shaking his head at them because he's so repulsed by them, but he's repulsed by the state that they're in. He can't, he can't believe this is happening. He would be shaking his head in sympathy, in essence. He also says, verse 6, if I speak, my pain is not assuaged, and if I forbear it, how much of it leaves me? Surely now God has worn me out. He has made desolate all my company. He has shriveled me up, which is a witness against me, and my leanness has risen up against me. It testifies to my face. He has torn me in his wrath and hated me. He has gnashed his teeth at me. My adversary sharpens his eyes against me. Men have gaped at me with their mouth. They have struck me insolently on the cheek. They mass themselves together against me. God gives me up to the ungodly and casts me into the hands of the wicked. So Job says, if I choose not to speak, I'm still in pain. If I do speak, I'm still in pain. So I'm going to continue to speak to God, so maybe I can get God to hear me so that he will want to do something about my current state. But then Job goes back to kind of, blaming God for the things that have happened to him. God is like this animal, this ferocious animal that's backed his prey into a corner, and his eyes are set on him, and his teeth are gnashing at his prey. Job's body, it's terrible. He's lean, he's skinny, he knows he's about to die. Men come and they look at Job, and their mouths are so wide open because they're repulsed by him. Job's lost his honor, he's lost his respect. They mass themselves together against me. It doesn't make sense to Job, because instead of punishing the ungodly, God lets the ungodly punish the righteous. It doesn't make sense to Job. Then he views God as this archer, and God is shooting arrows at Job for target practice, and the arrows pierce Job in vital places, and Job is left there by himself with no help. My face is red with weeping, and on my eyelids is deep with darkness. Although there is no violence in my hand, my prayer is pure. Again, it makes no sense. Look at Job's face. It's chapped by the tears that constantly roll down his face, and his eyes are dark. Job's just in a terrible place. O earth, cover not my blood, and let my cry find no resting place. Even now, behold, my witness is in heaven. He who testifies for me is on high. My friends scorn me. My eyes pour out tears to God, that he would argue the case of a man with God, as a son of man does with his neighbor. For when a few years have come, I shall go the way from which I shall not return. So Job needs a witness to, number one, to articulate his case, but he also to a judge, and he also needs his witness to defend him. Now, he has no earthly witness because his friends fail to see the true reason why he is in fact suffering, but they're also not going to defend him when people throw insults at him. I mean, that's pretty clear. I mean, people are walking around, remember, with their mouths wide open, and they're mocking Job for his current state, and the friends don't seem to be doing anything about it. So Job has, I guess you could say, this is where his faith is seen, because he still believes that there's a witness in heaven that will argue his case. Now, who that witness is that's been debated, is it an angel? Is it God? It seems from the context that it definitely could be God. But that's chapter 16, a quick review. Chapter 17 is where we're at tonight, and this is a personal lament. Job continues to cry out because of his current state. He says, "My spirit is broken. My days are extinct. The graveyard is ready for me." Now, my spirit is broken. What does his spirit refer to? Well, maybe it refers to his desire to live. We've already seen that Job knows that his days are running down. His days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle. So Job knows that his life is about to end, and that's why he says, "My days are extinct. They're winding down. The graveyard is ready for me." Now, many people have said that the graveyard here really refers to the grave of a common person. So Job is not going to be given an honorable death. He's going to have be buried in such a way that all common people are buried. So he says in verse 2, "Surely there are mockers about me, and my eye dwells on their hostility. Surely there are mockers about me." Now, we've already seen from chapter 16 that people are in fact around Job, and they are mocking him. But Job's eyes, they dwell on their hostility. He's looking at their face. He's looking at their body. And he knows how repulsed they are by him. And the words that are coming out of their mouths seem to align with their actions, their body language. I mean, they're just really upset, and they hate Job, and they constantly add to his affliction. Verse 3, "Lay down a pledge for me with you. Who is there who will put up security for me?" Now, we've seen that Job's friends have failed to do anything good for him. They've failed to be friends at all. And Job eventually is going to say, and he's already said at one point, you guys, you just wait, because you don't know how wrong you actually are, and you're going to get what is coming to you by God. But he wants someone to lay a pledge down for him. Who is that? Well, it's God. "God, I want you to lay a pledge down for me to yourself." Well, what is this pledge? Well, temporarily, God temporarily put a pledge for me so my suffering is eased until we're able to go to court and actually work it out. Now, it seems kind of odd that God would lay down a pledge to himself, but that's what Job says in verse 4. "Since you have closed their hearts to understanding, therefore you will not let them triumph." Since the friends haven't done anything to help Job, Job says to God, surely you're not going to let them get away with this. Surely you're not going to let somebody that's doing something wicked go unpunished. So this is kind of a creative way to make God act in a certain way, because God must defend his honor or he can't be exalted. He who informs against his friends to get a share of their property, the eyes of his children will fail. Now, he who informs against his friend to get a share of their property, John Hartley in his commentary says that this is probably a proverb. Now, you remember that the friends, Job has already said, speak with proverbs and maxims, these pious sayings that don't do anything for him at all. Well, now Job's quoting a proverb, and what does it, if it is indeed a proverb, but what's he say? He who informs against his friends to get a share of their property. So someone that lies about their friend to get something from them, the eyes of his children will fail. His children will look at him and know that he has done something so wrong. He's spoken against his friend just to enjoy his material possessions. Verse 6, he has made me a byword of the peoples, and I am one before whom men spit. Look at what Job was and look at what he is now. Men come, we've already seen, they're around Job. Job's already said it multiple times. But now we know that they spit on him. An act that shames the other person in such a way that, we probably can't even understand the extent of the shame. But, I guess we can relate to it in a sense, because if someone spat on us, we would probably be ready to fight, because that's just not something you do to honor a person. It's an act of disrespect. My eye has grown dim from vexation, and all my members are like a shadow. Again, look at Job's physical body. His eyes, his eyesight is poor now. It's fading daily, it seems, and his members, of his body, they're weak, they're skinny. Job knows his time's coming from verse 1, that he's going to die soon. Verse 8, the upright are appalled at this, and the innocent stirs himself up against the godless. Yet the righteous holds to his way, and he who has clean hands grows stronger and stronger. But you come on again, all of you, and I shall not find a wise man among you. So these 3 verses are pretty difficult to interpret. In fact, if you read a lot of commentaries on the book of Job, most of them are going to have a different opinion on what this means. But maybe Job is saying from verse 8, the upright are appalled at this, and the innocent stirs himself up against the godless. Maybe this is Job wishing what the friends, for Job wishing for what the friends ought to be doing. They ought to be appalled at what has happened to poor, pitiful Job. And the innocent stirs himself up against the godless. Again, they ought to be defending Job when those people walk by and they mock him and they add to his affliction, but they're not doing that. Verse 9, yet the righteous holds to his way, and he who has clean hands grows stronger and stronger. Now, maybe this is talking about Job and not talking about the friends, and Job is trying to say, look, although this is happening to me, I still keep pressing on. I continue to do what I need to do, and because of that I go stronger and stronger. Verse 10, but you come on again, all of you, and I shall not find a wise man among you. Maybe this is another shot at the friends by Job. Maybe he's saying, get another chance. Start over. But if you started over, I still wouldn't find a wise man among you. You guys are essentially, y'all are just fools. Verse 11, My days are past, my plans are broken off, the desires of my heart. They make night into day. The light, they say, is near to the darkness. Maybe in verse 12, Job is again talking about the friends, or he has them in mind at least. Maybe he has in mind what some of them said in their first speech. You remember the friends weren't as harsh as they are now in their speeches at the beginning, because they started out by saying, Job, you really are going through it, my friend, but if you would just repent, everything will be all right. This is just temporary. Just wait, Job. Things are going to be better for you in a little while. That night, they turn the night into day. The light, they say, is near to the darkness. If I hope for Sheol as my house, if I make my bed in darkness, if I say to the pit, you are my father, and to the worm my mother or my sister, where then is my hope? Who will see my hope? Will it go down to the bars of Sheol? Shall we descend together into the dust? So again, Job knows he's about to die, so his mind is on Sheol. Now, in a sense, if Job goes to Sheol, he'll no longer be in pain, so he'll be relieved in a way. In another way, he won't be relieved because he's lost his hope. Now, what's his hope? His hope is to be vindicated. His hope is to argue his case with God and for God to restore him back to the life that he once had. But this hope can't go down to Sheol, to the bars of Sheol. Life can't exist in death. So his hope can't make it down to Sheol. Job also has no family around him. He certainly has no friends, and sometimes he thinks that he doesn't even have God. So what does he have? I say to the pit, you are my father, and to the worm my mother and my sister. Sad. Job is really, really going through it. And we've felt for Job all throughout the entire book. But it's like the more and more we read, the more and more we realize, man, like we can't even begin to understand the amount of suffering that Job is actually experiencing. Well, that's all the time that we have for tonight. I hope you have a great rest of the week. I can't wait to see everybody Sunday. God bless.